Fracture, the cracking or breaking of a hard object or material.
Example 1. She suffered a fracture in her arm.
Example 2. The X-ray showed a small fracture.
Sprain, the injury to ligaments caused by being stretched beyond their normal capacity.
Example 1. He sprained his ankle during the game.
Example 2. The doctor wrapped the sprain in a bandage.
Arthritis, painful inflammation and stiffness of the joints.
Example 1. Arthritis can make it difficult to move.
Example 2. She takes medication to manage her arthritis.
Osteoporosis, a medical condition in which the bones become brittle and fragile.
Example 1. Osteoporosis increases the risk of fractures.
Example 2. He is taking calcium supplements to prevent osteoporosis.
Dermatitis, a condition of the skin in which it becomes red, swollen and sore.
Example 1. She has a mild case of dermatitis.
Example 2. The dermatitis was treated with a special cream.
Eczema, a medical condition in which patches of skin become rough and inflamed.
Example 1. Eczema can be itchy and uncomfortable.
Example 2. She uses a lotion to soothe her eczema.
Acne, a skin condition that occurs when hair follicles are clogged with oil and dead skin cells.
Example 1. Teenagers often struggle with acne.
Example 2. He uses a special face wash to treat his acne.
An area of redness and spots on the skin.
Example 1. She developed a rash after eating shellfish.
Example 2. The rash disappeared after a few days.
Bruise, an injury appearing as an area of discolored skin on the body.
Example 1. She got a bruise on her leg from the fall.
Example 2. The bruise slowly faded away.
Burn, an injury caused by exposure to heat or flame.
Example 1. He suffered a burn on his hand.
Example 2. The burn was treated with ointment.
Tumor, a swelling of a part of the body, generally without inflammation, caused by an abnormal growth of tissue.
Example 1. The doctors found a benign tumor.
Example 2. He is being treated for a brain tumor.
Biopsy, an examination of tissue removed from a living body to discover the presence of disease.
Example 1. The biopsy revealed cancerous cells.
Example 2. She had a biopsy to check for abnormalities.
Chemotherapy, the treatment of disease, especially cancer, by the use of chemical substances.
Example 1. She is undergoing chemotherapy for breast cancer.
Example 2. Chemotherapy can cause side effects like nausea.
Radiation, the use of high-energy radiation to damage cancer cells' DNA and kill them.
Example 1. He received radiation therapy to treat his tumor.
Example 2. Radiation can be effective against certain types of cancer.
Dialysis, a procedure to remove waste products and excess fluid from the blood when the kidneys stop working properly.
Example 1. He goes to the clinic for dialysis 3 times a week.
Example 2. Dialysis is necessary for people with severe kidney failure.
Transplant, an operation in which an organ or tissue is transferred from one body to another.
Example 1. She is waiting for a kidney transplant.
Example 2. The heart transplant was successful.
Anemia, a condition in which the blood doesn't have enough healthy red blood cells.
Example 1. She was diagnosed with anemia and needs iron supplements.
Example 2. Anemia can cause fatigue and weakness.
Leukemia, a type of cancer that affects the blood and bone marrow.
Example 1. He is undergoing treatment for leukemia.
Example 2. Leukemia is a serious condition but can be treated.
Parkinson's, a progressive disease of the nervous system, marked by tremor, muscular rigidity, and slow, imprecise movement.
Example 1. Parkinson's disease affects the motor system.
Example 2. She is receiving treatment to manage Parkinson's symptoms.
Alzheimer's, a progressive disease that destroys memory and other important mental functions.
Example 1. Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia.
Example 2. He is in the early stages of Alzheimer's.
Epilepsy, a neurological disorder marked by sudden recurrent episodes of sensory disturbance, loss of consciousness, or convulsions.
Example 1. She has been diagnosed with epilepsy.
Example 2. He takes medication to control his epilepsy.
Migraine, a recurrent throbbing headache that typically affects one side of the head.
Example 1. She suffers from chronic migraines.
Example 2. A migraine can be debilitating.
Concussion, a temporary unconsciousness or confusion caused by a blow to the head.
Example 1. He was hospitalized with a concussion.
Example 2. A concussion can cause headaches and dizziness.
Paralysis, the loss of the ability to move in part or most of the body.
Example 1. The stroke left him with partial paralysis.
Example 2. She is working with a therapist to regain movement after paralysis.
Multiple sclerosis, a disease in which the immune system eats away at the protective covering of nerves.
Example 1. Multiple sclerosis affects the central nervous system.
Example 2. He was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at a young age.
Lupus, a chronic autoimmune disease that can damage any part of the body.
Example 1. Lupus causes inflammation and tissue damage.
Example 2. She manages her lupus with medication and lifestyle changes.
Hepatitis, a disease characterized by inflammation of the liver.
Example 1. Hepatitis can be caused by viruses or other factors.
Example 2. He contracted hepatitis from contaminated food.
Cirrhosis, a late stage of scarring of the liver caused by many forms of liver diseases and conditions.
Example 1. Cirrhosis is often the result of chronic alcohol abuse.
Example 2. He was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver.
Pneumonia, an infection that inflames the air sacs in one or both lungs.
Example 1. She was hospitalized with severe pneumonia.
Example 2. Pneumonia can be life-threatening, especially in the elderly.
Bronchitis, inflammation of the lining of bronchial tubes, which carry air to and from the lungs.
Example 1. She has a persistent cough due to bronchitis.
Example 2. Bronchitis can be acute or chronic.
Tuberculosis, a serious infectious bacterial disease that mainly affects the lungs.
Example 1. Tuberculosis can spread through the air.
Example 2. She was diagnosed with tuberculosis after a persistent cough.
Hepatitis, a disease characterized by inflammation of the liver.
Example 1. Hepatitis can lead to liver damage.
Example 2. She contracted hepatitis after traveling abroad.
Malaria, a disease caused by a plasmodium parasite, transmitted by the bite of infected mosquitoes.
Example 1. Malaria is common in tropical regions.
Example 2. He took medication to prevent malaria during his trip.
Dengue, a mosquito-borne viral disease occurring in tropical and subtropical areas.
Example 1. Dengue fever is characterized by a high fever and severe joint pain.
Example 2. She contracted dengue during the rainy season.
HIV/AIDS, a virus that attacks the immune system and can lead to AIDS.
Example 1. HIV can be managed with antiretroviral therapy.
Example 2. AIDS is the most advanced stage of HIV infection.
Hepatitis, a disease characterized by inflammation of the liver, commonly caused by viral infection or toxins, such as alcohol or drugs.
Example 1. Hepatitis can lead to liver damage if not treated properly.
Example 2. She contracted hepatitis after traveling to a region with poor sanitation.
Sepsis, a life-threatening condition caused by the body's response to an infection.
Example 1. Sepsis can lead to organ failure.
Example 2. He was treated for sepsis in the ICU.
Meningitis, inflammation of the protective membranes covering the brain and spinal cord.
Example 1. Meningitis can be caused by viral or bacterial infections.
Example 2. She received a vaccine to protect against meningitis.
Encephalitis, inflammation of the brain, often due to infection.
Example 1. Encephalitis can cause severe headaches and fever.
Example 2. He was hospitalized with encephalitis.
Autism, a developmental disorder characterized by difficulties with social interaction and communication.
Example 1. Autism is often diagnosed in early childhood.
Example 2. He works with children with autism.
ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, a chronic condition marked by persistent inattention, hyperactivity, and sometimes impulsivity.
Example 1. ADHD can affect both children and adults.
Example 2. She takes medication to help manage her ADHD.
Bipolar disorder, a mental health condition characterized by extreme mood swings.
Example 1. Bipolar disorder can cause episodes of depression and mania.
Example 2. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in his early 20s.
Schizophrenia, a chronic and severe mental disorder that affects how a person thinks, feels, and behaves.
Example 1. Schizophrenia can cause hallucinations and delusions.
Example 2. She is undergoing treatment for schizophrenia.
PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, a mental health condition triggered by experiencing or witnessing a terrifying event.
Example 1. PTSD can develop after military combat.
Example 2. He is receiving therapy for PTSD.
OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder, a mental health condition characterized by unwanted repetitive thoughts, obsessions, and/or actions, compulsions.
Example 1. OCD can cause significant distress and interfere with daily life.
Example 2. She has been diagnosed with OCD and is receiving treatment.
Anorexia, an eating disorder characterized by weight loss, difficulty maintaining an appropriate body weight, and an intense fear of gaining weight.
Example 1. Anorexia can have serious health consequences.
Example 2. She is being treated for anorexia at a specialized clinic.
Bulimia, an eating disorder characterized by binge eating, followed by purging.
Example 1. Bulimia can lead to severe dehydration and electrolyte imbalances.
Example 2. She is receiving counseling for bulimia.
Gastroenteritis, inflammation of the stomach and intestines, typically resulting from bacterial toxins or viral infection.
Example 1. Gastroenteritis can cause vomiting and diarrhea.
Example 2. He caught gastroenteritis while traveling.
Colitis, inflammation of the inner lining of the colon.
Example 1. Colitis can cause abdominal pain and diarrhea.
Example 2. She was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis.
Crohn's disease, a type of inflammatory bowel disease that may affect any part of the gastrointestinal tract.
Example 1. Crohn's disease can cause severe digestive problems.
Example 2. He manages his Crohn's disease with medication.
Celiac disease, an immune reaction to eating gluten, a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye.
Example 1. People with celiac disease must follow a gluten-free diet.
Example 2. She was diagnosed with celiac disease after experiencing digestive issues.
Diverticulitis, inflammation or infection of small pouches that can form in the walls of the intestines.
Example 1. Diverticulitis can cause severe abdominal pain.
Example 2. He was hospitalized with a case of diverticulitis.
Irritable bowel syndrome, a common disorder that affects the large intestine, causing cramping, abdominal pain, bloating, gas, and diarrhea or constipation.
Example 1. Irritable bowel syndrome is often managed with dietary changes.
Example 2. She has been diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome.
Hyponatremia, a condition that occurs when the level of sodium in the blood is too low.
Example 1. Hyponatremia can be caused by excessive water intake.
Example 2. He was treated for hyponatremia after running a marathon.
Hyponatremia, a condition that occurs when the level of sodium in the blood is too high.
Example 1. Hypernatremia can result from dehydration.
Example 2. She was diagnosed with hypernatremia after excessive sweating.
Hypokalemia, a condition characterized by low levels of potassium in the blood.
Example 1. Hypokalemia can cause muscle weakness and cramps.
Example 2. He was treated for hypokalemia with potassium supplements.
Hyperkalemia, a condition characterized by high levels of potassium in the blood.
Example 1. Hyperkalemia can cause dangerous heart rhythms.
Example 2. She was diagnosed with hyperkalemia due to kidney problems.
Hypocalcemia, a condition characterized by low levels of calcium in the blood.
Example 1. Hypocalcemia can lead to muscle spasms and tingling.
Example 2. He was treated for hypocalcemia with calcium supplements.
Hypercalcemia, a condition characterized by high levels of calcium in the blood.
Example 1. Hypercalcemia can cause fatigue and confusion.
Example 2. She was diagnosed with hypercalcemia due to an overactive parathyroid gland.
Rhabdomyolysis, a serious syndrome caused by muscle injury, leading to the release of muscle fiber contents into the blood.
Example 1. Rhabdomyolysis can cause kidney damage.
Example 2. He was hospitalized with rhabdomyolysis after intense exercise.